So my name is Fifth Fernandez.
My name is Hamish Boyd, both from Canada.
The first time we came was in 2006, and we were actually on our way to another part of India, and someone said to us, no, you need to come to Auroville. It really suits who you are. You're artists, you're very spiritually inclined. And so at the last minute we changed our mind and we ended up in Auroville. And we fell in love with Auroville, and we worked on Hamish's show that he was writing, his one-man show called My Autopsy.
Okay.
And we just workshopped it. We didn't know much about Mother and Sri Aurobindo, but we worked it at the Tibetan Pavilion, and we went to Matra Mandir every day when we were here.
Okay, work in progress. Yes, presentable, but always evolving. So we stayed 7 weeks at the Tibetan Pavilion, and this was 2006.
And then we always felt this strong sense to come back home. And even though I'm Canadian and Hamish is Canadian, and I was born in Tanzania, my parents are of Indian origin, and so it felt right to come back here. And then when we started to read more about Mother and Sri Aurobindo, for me anyway, there was a real calling to come here and be here. Yeah. So we both started something called the Komali Medi Clown Academy. So I was a medical clown. I was a therapeutic.
Stop. Start.
I was a therapeutic clown in Canada. That was my profession. And actually that's where medical clowning started, was in Canada and in the United States. And then when I came here, there was a real calling to continue. So I'd been clowning in India in 1972, 1971, 72, and then it just continued, but not in a professional capacity. So now we do trainings in clowning. We do it in hospitals, in villages, in education, and with corporations. But the whole idea is to alleviate suffering, to bring much more joy into our lives, which is very much about what Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about.
Yes, and joy.
And Mother talks about the divine sun, right? The divine sun of laughter, because when you laugh, it dispels all this negativity.
Did you have a good reception with the Tamil people?
Excellent.
Excellent?
Yeah. And that's why we call it Komali Medi Clown Academy, because Komali in Tamil means jester or fool or clown. That's our main work. We also get called by a number of other units to come and do workshops for them. So with like Auroville Consulting, Auroville Retreats, educational things that come through, SLI, which is the Sustainable Livelihood Institute, and we work with YouthLink. So there's a number of people that we work with to deliver joy and happiness.
Hamish, tell us about your process of creation.
The process of creation actually first started a number of years in Vancouver, in Canada, British Columbia. Fifth and I attended a workshop by a fellow who called it screenwriting for actors. So that was really where the seed was first planted. But then it wasn't until many years later when we were living in Calgary, and she was working on her computer in the dining room, I was working on my computer in the sitting room. We were like feet apart. She sent me an email. And the email was an announcement by a friend of ours who ran Ghost River Theatre in Calgary, Doug Curtis. And he was starting a storytelling class. So she said, "You're a good writer, you should attend this storytelling class." So that's where it really started to take off. Mm-hmm. And I worked with Doug, and he said, "Well, what interests you?" And I said, "Well, you know, I remember when I was very small, I loved reading horror stories, mystery stories. And I loved these horror movies with Dracula and the Wolfman and Mummy. And so I would like to write about that." He said, "Okay, good, you start." So that's how it started. And then it grew after that. It had its own process. And in remembering childhood, I went into my teenage years and then into my 20s and 30s. Remembering things that happened to me which had a lot to do with spurring my life, changing my life, bringing out the things that really were discoveries and epiphanies for me. Mm-hmm. And now it's been going on for how many years?
10.
Over 10 years.
Oh.
Over 10 years. So this latest version that you saw was yet another version. We have been through so many different drafts that we call in script writing. And even as we were rehearsing this last time together, we discovered things which were inherent in the work, but which we could bring out even stronger.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And because right now you're also reading Adventures in Consciousness
Yes, yes.
by Setprem, we discovered that there was so much parallels and going deeper and deeper into the work, so that the spirit comes out, no, and the light and the darkness and the shadow. So it was quite wonderful. So Auroville lends itself to the ability to go deeper and to raise your consciousness, would you say? Your personal consciousness?
Yeah, since arriving here, there have been many, many challenges on many levels. But as in during the reading of Sri Aurobindo's work, still going to the Matra Mandir and going into the chamber as often as we can, it has stimulated an intuition in me which I knew was always there, but here in these surroundings it's come out even stronger. Mm-hmm. So I feel totally blessed, totally moved, especially since the people who have approached me and have said to me what they have said to me about my autopsy. I'm going, this is not just me. It is not just me. It's a strength that I never knew I had. Well, I had a suspicion,
Yeah.
but to see the response from people, and I'm totally floored by it. So I have said to them, this is not just a performance. It's a gift, and it's an act of prayer, an act of an invocation to offer something to Auroville and hopefully the world.
So, I can see there is a book.
It's called Light in Darkness.
Yes.
And it's a series of photographs that I've taken over the years in different places around the world, including Auroville. And I match the photographs with poems that I have written. It is also a performance piece where we project the photographs and I act out or become the poems. And I don't. It's not just a poetry reading, it is a poetry performance. So I embody the poems, I act them out, I become the poems.
And there's music in it, and some movement and dancing.
Yes.
And he interacts with the projections on a screen. So it's a multimedia piece.
You work with him on the project.
Yes, yes.
You are the one who put it together, the mother materializing the project.
Together, yeah.
Yes, that's great. I've seen that you have something else to talk about. Something little things that you're doing. I can see on the table here.
We've actually created something because of the clowning called India Knows Love. So they are clown noses that are actually made. I don't know if you can see that. You see that?
Yes.
These are seeds. These are
Yes.
called nungus from the palmara tree, and then we cut them in half. So then it looks like this, and then they're drilled, and then they're painted, and then you get noses. And it's really about unifying the world, right? Unifying India, bringing the clown to light, everything.